Good evening. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas Eve, and welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill Unitarian Universalist. A little bit different than it was at 5 o'clock. Every seat was taken, every seat in the balcony. We ran out of orders of service and candle holders. So everybody has an order of service and a candle holder, and for that we rejoice. A special welcome to those who are visiting for the first time this evening. Special welcome as well to anyone who brought family with them, anyone returning home for the holidays, and a special welcome as well to anyone joining the service via the live stream. Hi, Mom. As a congregation, we hold services every Sunday, and I hope that you'll come and join us next Sunday, December 31st, for our last worship service of 2023. Next Sunday, we'll be holding just a single service at the non-standard time of 11 a.m., one service at 11 o'clock. And my sermon next Sunday is titled, When the Unitarians Encountered the UFO. So that should really be something. We had a wonderful fall here at Community Church, and one of the real highlights of the past few months was a multi-generational cast presenting a dramatic performance of A Wrinkle in Time by the celebrated young adult fantasy writer Madeleine L'Engle. The author of the novel was also, besides being a fantasy writer, was also a person of faith. Denominationally, she was an Episcopalian. Theologically, she was a Universalist. And I decided that what I wanted to do this evening is to base our Christmas Eve service around a trio of Christmas poems written by Madeleine L'Engle, and you'll hear them sprinkled in during the service. So in that spirit, let us enter into the spirit of worship together, and let us rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our first hymn of the evening, number 237, The First Noel.
Today marks the fourth Sunday in the season of Advent in the Christian tradition. Each week until Christmas, we've been lighting a new candle on the Advent wreath, symbols of hope, peace, joy, and love. As the season reaches its completion, we prepare for new life to dawn. Our hearts soften and our arms open to embrace its brightness. This evening, we light the fourth candle. We light this candle as a reminder that there is no greater power in the world than love. Through this community, we can become a blessing to one another. Our love is magnified and lives are changed. We can hardly wait any longer for the wonder of love to be revealed. May we risk enough to become vulnerable and welcome holy tenderness. Our first reading is First Coming. He did not wait till the world was ready, till men and nations were at peace. He came when the heavens were unsteady and prisoners cried out for release. He did not wait for the perfect time. He came when the need was deep and great. He dined with sinners in all their grime, turned water into wine. He did not wait till hearts were pure. In joy, he came to a tarnished world of sin and doubt, to a world like ours of anguished shame. He came and his light would not go out. He came to a world which did not mesh, to heal its tangles, shield its scorn. In the mystery of Word made flesh, the maker of the stars was born. We cannot wait till the world is sane to raise our songs with joyful voice, for to share our grief, to touch our pain. He came with love. Rejoice, rejoice. And now if you'll stand as you're able and join us in singing hymn 245, Joy to the World.
Hello, I'm Salem McNee with the church's Immigrant Justice Initiative. It feels fitting to ask for your help in our work with asylum seekers on a holiday honoring people who found shelter in a strange place in their hour of need. The children's pageant on the 10th centered on the strength of Mary, Mother of Jesus, and we work with strong women daily among the newcomers we've housed and supported. It takes strength to uproot your family and undertake the journey to a better life. Thanks to considerable gifts of money, time, and energy from so many of you in our congregation and our partner congregations, we have housed, clothed, fed, and found much-needed medical, dental, and mental health care for 5 families, helped them get work permits, helped them pursue their asylum cases, enrolled kids in school. On our IJI webpage, you can read about success after success. Jamie winning her asylum case and moving to her own apartment. Oscar and Gabby both working, living in their own place with their children. Tanya, who's currently living in the manse, happy to be working now with her girls enjoying school. And Maria, who will soon move into the manse with her 2 young boys. We have had our own Christmas miracle. Blanca, now living in Charleston with her son David, was able just weeks ago to joyfully welcome her 10-year-old daughter Tatiana, who had been in detention at the border. Her 20-year-old son Carlos was still in detention with little chance of remaining in this country. We hired a lawyer for him and learned just this Thursday that he would be allowed to stay. He was reunited, yes. He was reunited with his mother, baby brother, and sister yesterday. We'll have the photo up shortly online. Together we have done so much good, and there are so many more people like Carlos. Please give generously so we can continue to help the newcomers who bring their strengths to our community. If you're writing a check, please put STP in the memo line or use the QR code on the back of your order of service to give online. If you're watching from home, scroll to the quick links at the bottom of the church webpage and choose Donate Now. This evening's offering will now be generously given and gratefully received. Thank you.
And a quick note of change in the order of service. One of the members of Luminescence is home with a cold, so we're going to have some Christmas carols done by Eric, Maria, and Dorothy. Our second reading, Into the Darkest Hour. It was a time like this: war, tumult of war, a horror in the air. Hungry yawned the abyss, and yet there came the star, and the child most wonderfully there. It was a time like this, of fear and lust for power, license and greed and blight, and yet the Prince of Bliss came into this darkest hour in quiet and silent light. And in a time like this, how celebrate his birth when all things fall apart? Ah, wonderful it is, with no room on the earth, the stable is our heart.
I've never used this microphone before, so. It says in your order of service that it's pastoral prayer. At the first service, I do meditation, and then I write this every year, and then what I really want to do is the meditation twice. And so I have to ask, how many people here are excited for tomorrow morning? A few hands. I see a few hands are excited for. Some hands are really high in the air, excited for tomorrow morning. Well, if you're not, maybe for this meditation, if you want to see if you can put yourself back in that spirit, we're going to have a time of meditation, and for that it's to be here now and to think and to use your imagination to imagine all of the wonderful parts of this season. So some people, when they meditate, some people like to close their eyes so they can better imagine, but some people like to look around, and either's okay. So whatever you want to do, you can close your eyes or you can leave them open. And I invite you to begin by imagining all the beautiful sights of this season. Imagine the colors that are so bright, the reds and the greens, the silvers and the golds, the blue of Hanukkah candles, the twinkling, blinking of lights and how joyful those are to the eye. And as you imagine, I invite you to imagine the smells of this season. I like the smell of evergreen and pine, that evergreen smell. Or imagine the smells from your kitchen, delicious food. And now imagine the tastes. Imagine that spicy, sweet taste of peppermint on your tongue. Imagine the taste of Christmas cookies. And think, if you will, of all of the sounds of this season. Think of the sound that wrapping paper makes when you squish it in your hands. Think of the sounds of people singing joyful carols, the sound of ringing bells. And if you listen closely in the silence, you might hear the sound of angels singing of peace. that song bringing peace to earth. But most of all, think of the touch feelings of this season. The feeling of warm winter sweaters around our necks. The feel of warm blankets. And most of all, the feeling of embrace. A loved one's hug. A hand holding ours. May this feeling of warmth swell in all of our hearts, be available to all people for this season. Amen. And in time like this, how celebrate his birth when all things fall apart? Ah, wonderful it is, with no room on the earth, the stable is our heart. The stable is our heart. I'd like to talk for a bit this evening about what it might mean to make our heart into a stable. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The image that we have of Jesus lying in a manger comes to us from the Gospel of Luke. A gospel is a story that is told to make meaning of someone's life and to share with us the wonderful lessons that their life teaches us, the good news of their life. Now, there were actually many gospels that were written of people who were trying to make meaning of the life of Jesus of Nazareth and to tell us about the good news of what his life meant. Of those many gospels, dozens, 4 were selected to be included in the Christian Bible. And of those 4, only 2 tell the story of Jesus' birth. And of those 2, only 1 mentions a manger. That one is Luke's gospel. The Gospel of Luke tells the story this way. While Joseph and Mary were in Bethlehem, the time came for Mary to deliver her child. And she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. And that's it. That's all the details that were given in the story about Jesus' birth. The rest is up to our imagination. Now, we know that a manger is a box that's filled with hay or straw or grains so that farm animals can eat out of it. So we assume that farm animals were close by: donkeys, sheep, cows, maybe a horse. Our imagination adds those animals to the story. And we know that mangers are usually found in barns or stables, so we'll imagine that too. Let's imagine it together. Let's imagine what it would be like to be born in a stable or a barn. You imagining with me? There are, of course, some things that would be not good about being born in a barn, right? Can you think of what some of them might be? It would be kind of dirty. It wouldn't smell too great. And that wouldn't be very comfortable either. I think we can all agree on that. But a barn or a stable might have a few things going for it if we look really hard. It's dry. It's warmer than the outside, thanks to the animals. It's shelter. It's safe. It's at least a little more comfortable than the hard, cold ground. And yes, I am reaching for positive things to say. Let's just say that a barn, a stable, a manger is far from a perfect place for a child to be born. Madeleine L'Engle's Christmas poems talk about children coming into a world that is far from perfect. She writes, "The child did not wait till the world was ready, did not wait for the perfect time, did not wait till hearts were pure. The child came into a world which did not mesh." Madeleine L'Engle describes a world plagued by war and the tumult of war, a world struggling with fear and greed. And in a time like this, how celebrate his birth when all things fall apart? Ah, wonderful it is. With no room on the earth, the stable is our heart. Which brings us to what I'd like to talk about, which is making a stable of our heart. What I mean by that is that we all have the power to make our world a little safer, a little warmer, a little more comfortable than it otherwise is. We all have the ability to be that stable for another person that needs it. And please remember, that a stable is far from perfect. I don't say make your heart into a 5-star all-inclusive resort. That's not my sermon. Make your heart into a fancy hospital with all of the things that might aid. A stable. With no room on the earth, the stable is our heart. In thinking of our heart as a stable, I think of the work of our Immigrant Justice Initiative, since our offering this evening is going to support their amazing work. This group looked out at the suffering in our world, and rather than feel overwhelmed or depressed or powerless or inadequate, they thought, well, we could certainly be a stable. We could sure do that. We can provide the gift of shelter, warmth, safety, and welcome. And it turned out that they could do a whole lot more than that. But here's the thing. They knew they could not solve every problem, heal every hurt, guarantee a perfect future for everyone welcomed in. Their heart was a stable. Yes, we do have some warmth and shelter to share. Or I think of the service project at the Greening 3 weeks ago, as dozens of people in our congregation gathered around tables in the commons right here outside the sanctuary, stuffing gift bags with items to go to the resident of the Home Start shelter here in our town. That's stable heart work. May not be able to solve every problem, to end all suffering, but we can share some warmth and some comfort, and maybe just a little bit of gladness as well. The work of caring is like that as well. The stable of our heart reaches out with the warmth of a quilt, the comfort of a card or a meal, the shelter of an embrace or a hand to hold. It's stable work. Yes, there's room for you. There's room for you and your pain and your grief as well. There is room here in this stable of care. And the point of the stable is that it's not perfection. Just as we cannot wait for the perfect time, we cannot wait until we have all the answers, until we've figured it out, until we have the perfect strategy or all of the right thoughts. We are not required to provide perfection. We're asked to reach out with our stable heart. So much in life is like this. Nobody is a perfect parent before they become a parent or after. No one is a perfect singer before they sing. No one is a perfect preacher before they preach. We would have no sermons if we demanded perfect ones. And the work of being care for one another is like that as well. When there are no perfect words to say, the gift of your presence is a gift. And when there is no perfect answer to the challenges of the world, the gift of love and comfort is a gift. So let us go forth, being a stable to each other, and knowing that that is enough. It's all that's asked for. And let us sing our next hymn of the evening, number 246, O Little Town of Bethlehem. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we sing together.
our third reading of the night, the risk of birth. This is no time for a child to be born. When the earth, betrayed by war and hate, and a comet slashing the sky to warn that time runs out and sun burns late, that was no time for a child to be born. In a land in the crushing grip of Rome, honor and truth were trampled by scorn. Yet here did the Savior make his home. When is the time for love to be born? The inn is full on the planet Earth, and by a comet the sky is torn. Yet love still takes the risk of birth.
Going to ask for my candle lighters to come forward and begin passing your candles. Begin passing the flame down the center aisle, and as you get it, go ahead. Yep, keep. And as you get it, a little note is that if the flame that is lit is held straight and the other candle reaches over, that works way better. So. And once we get it going here, and once if we get it down the center aisle, then they can pass out to the sides here. And I'm going to abandon the post for just a second here and begin to hit lights, and then we will sing number 251, Silent Night. With the end of the benediction, the service has ended. But hear these words by theologian Howard Thurman. When the song of angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds have returned to their flock, then it is that the work of Christmas begins, of finding the lost and healing the broken, of feeding the hungry and releasing the prisoner, of rebuilding the nations and bringing peace among siblings, the work of making music in the heart. So may it be. And Merry Christmas. Amen.